美味しい。これも美味しいよ。木が綺麗。小さいね、こっちも。十分カフェだろうと。私の近場にいました。本物のチキンっていうか、わからないけど。ワイドアイドル。Good morning. It is kind of day 3 in Japan, and we arrived on when was it? The day before yesterday, but at night yesterday we just rested and chilled. Just went to the local station to get some things, and today we're going to head out because we've got some like admin stuff to do. I thought I'd just show you where we stay when we come to Tokyo. It's my mum's friend's house. She's basically my auntie, so if I refer to her as my auntie, you know who I'm talking about. And I'll show you like what our spot look like. We come here every time we come to Tokyo, so it's like home to us. But let me show you. It's a real mess right now. There's stuff everywhere, so bear with me. So it's kind of a small space, so I don't know how to show you, but let me start from here. So you've got a TV there, sliding doors. We don't really use it to go outside, but that's where the light comes from. Over here, now this is really interesting. just please don't mind the mess. It's just a lot we're trying to organize. This is like a kotatsu table, which is a traditional Japanese table, and the floor, tatami, the traditional floors, is like, it's got a hole in it, so you can sit on the floor and put your feet in like that, and yeah, and basically the floor becomes the chair that you sit on, or you can like fold your legs or whatever, it's up to you. And during the winter, let me show you, there's like a switch you can put on and it basically heats up the place, I mean the floor, so your feet are warm, and you usually have like this kind of blanket thing that you put down there, so you can easily fall asleep there. It's super comfortable. And this is where we sleep. So those are futon mattresses, and we basically roll them out and sleep on the floor. Yeah, and that's just our luggage. And those are like traditional type closets that you put the futons in usually. You don't usually keep them out, but you can keep them out for the sake of convenience. So yeah, basically the plan today is we're gonna go into like towards the city, and my mum has to do something to get her pension because she worked in Japan for a couple of years, so she's still eligible to or entitled to her pension. And I'm gonna try get some documentation in order for me to apply for a Japanese passport, which basically requires me to sort of prove my ancestry or my heritage here. So we're gonna go do that, and then we'll just do a bit of sightseeing, window shopping, or maybe some real shopping, look around, probably have lunch there, and then yeah, we'll come back. So I'll show you a little bit. Oh, I forgot to show you this part of the room too. So you can like close those bits up there and use it as a pull-up station. Just kidding, don't do that. I mean, you could, I guess. I actually don't know really what the purpose of those things are. And this here, this is a traditional like light, and you can kind of like, every time you click it, it goes lighter and lighter. See how it's dim there? Yeah, I'll just fully turn it off now. But yeah, right now it's a little bit dark because we haven't really opened all the blinds. And oh, I'll show you what I got yesterday. I bought this little travel fan thing. It's got a neck strap, and it's also got one of these hold on, let me try to do it with one hand, clicky things that you can attach onto bags. And it can also bend like 180 degrees, like this part, it can fold, so you can stand it if you want. And it's got like 4 different power settings. Hi! Sorry, my mum needed me to teach her how to use her phone. Oh yeah, the fan. Yeah, so it can like fold and you can have it standing. It's got 4 different sort of power settings, so I'll show you. So you can, this is like the gentlest, which still is pretty strong, the stronger, stronger, and strongest. And I brought it just, I thought it would be good to have for traveling. And also, it hasn't been hot in Japan yet. It's pretty cool at the moment. It's actually really nice, but in June it'll probably get hotter, and we're gonna go to Disneyland in June, and so I thought I'll take this when I go to Disneyland. And I think it's kind of handy to have for when you go to other parts of the world, really hot places, you know. Oh, including where I live in Australia. Like, Australia gets hot during the summer, so it's nice to have. And that's all I've bought so far. I'll probably do some more shopping, but I've only been here for like 2 days, so haven't had the chance yet. So yeah, let's see how today goes. それ私のだ。
ごめん。
やっぱり私のだったよ。なんですぐ分かったんだよ。
わかんないよ。
だってこれは私のだって言ってたじゃないさっき。ワニだったら絶対。ビデオ撮ったよな。ビデオ撮ったよな。
これパンの開け方がいいんじゃない？
Hey guys, I just wanted to jump in here to address something that I talk about in this vlog, and I apologize for the low quality footage right now. It's because I'm using my laptop just to make it easier for me to upload this content. So in the vlog you would have heard me talk about me going to apply for my Japanese passport and how I have to get some documentation in order to get that passport. So just a bit of context, Japan doesn't allow dual citizenship. That's not a thing, right? And I've known that since I was young. However, I had heard about a couple of people we know, like family friends who are half Japanese as well and have got other passports, that they had recently were able to acquire their Japanese passport quite easily. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. Well, maybe I can give it a go when I go to Japan. And so that was sort of the plan. More context to that is that I actually used to have a Japanese passport when I was young. But then before I moved to Australia from New Zealand, I decided to apply for a New Zealand passport and citizenship because it makes it much easier for me to study in Australia. If I was to come here with a Japanese passport and citizenship, I would have had to pay international fees and it just wouldn't have been feasible for me. Hence why applying for New Zealand citizenship was the best way to go about it, because if you don't know, New Zealand and Australia have like sort of open borders. You do have a specific type of visa, but it's very like you don't really have to go through a huge application process. You can just go to each other's countries, study and live, work indefinitely. So it just made more sense for me to go for a New Zealand citizenship. So I did that at the time. I was about 21, but in order to do that, I had to give up my Japanese passport because there's no dual citizenship in Japan. So I did that, and it was worth it, you know, since I've been here this whole time. But I decided to give this application for a Japanese passport a go. And then we went to that building, you would have seen it in the video, in the vlog, to get my koseki tohon, which is the thing that is the documentation that proves like my Japanese lineage, I guess. So it's got like my Japanese grandparents' names on there, and you know their address and all that kind of, and then my mom, and it shows that my mom married an Italian man, and it just has like a breakdown. It's almost like a family tree, but you need that to apply for your passport, you know, like I said, to prove your identity. So that I could obtain pretty easily. However, when we actually got to the passport place, I got my photo taken, everything. We also had to fill out, of course, an actual passport application form. So we did that. But then when we got to the counter, they saw that in there it had been written that in 2012 I obtained New Zealand citizenship. Now, I could have lied and not said that, but I mean, that's actually what happened. So we wrote that down, and obviously it's probably never a good idea to lie to any sort of government, you know, sort of office or process anyway. But because of that, I was denied a passport, Japanese passport, essentially. They're like, you became a New Zealand citizen in 2012, and yeah, because of that, like, you can't apply for a Japanese passport. Even though like other people that I knew that got a Japanese passport recently also had New Zealand citizenship and all that. So that's why I was a bit like, okay, what makes me different? So even though I knew for the longest time that dual citizenship is not allowed in Japan, and I was perplexed as to why people were able to get Japanese passports, I was really disheartened and disappointed, and I was quite emotional afterwards. Like, it actually sort of ruined my day a little bit. And then I was speaking to my mum about it afterwards, and she was sort of pointed out the reality of like being a mixed Japanese or a Japanese person that hasn't grown up in the homogenous sort of country that is Japan. And any half Japanese, or I'm sure a lot of half Japanese people like me, will be able to relate when I say that it's got its challenges. You know, being half Japanese in Japan has its challenges because of the homogeneity. Even if we can speak Japanese fluently, can read it, can adapt ourselves to the conditions and social expectations of Japan, the way we look, because we don't look full Japanese, you can often still feel othered. I'm not saying it's always like a negative experience, but you'll always sort of feel like a foreigner a lot of the times because you're kind of made to feel like one. And some, this is just a generalization, obviously. Everybody's got their own unique experiences, but this is typically something that a lot of half Japanese people can relate to. So my mum was saying, I have a very complicated history growing up that many Japanese people will not be able to understand, or the bureaucratic systems of Japan will just not be able to understand. Like, my story is basically, I was born in Switzerland to a Japanese mother and an Italian father. And then we migrated, we lived in many different countries, but we eventually migrated to New Zealand, where I still had Japanese citizenship until, like I said, I applied for New Zealand citizenship and I became a Kiwi. So it's like I have no New Zealand blood in me, but I am Kiwi by citizenship. And that is a concept or sort of idea that a lot of Japanese people will probably not be able to fathom, because there's a lot of Japanese people that don't even leave the country, right? So this sort of really complex, like, okay, you've got Japanese in you, but you were born here, some people are just like half Kiwi, half Japanese, and born and raised in New Zealand or born and raised in Japan. But I have a very sort of messy history, and I think it's a bit confusing for the Japanese system, right? So there's that, but there's also just this whole ongoing challenges with not feeling fully accepted by Japanese society because of your mixed lineage. And I actually recently got sent an article by my mum that said a full Japanese woman, okay, born and raised in Japan, ended up marrying a Canadian man and moved to Canada for a bit and obtained Canadian citizenship. However, she had to move back to Japan to look after her elderly parents. And so because she was going to stay there long term, she decided to apply for Japanese citizenship again, and she was denied. And she took it to the courts, and it was completely rejected. And this is a full Japanese woman that grew up in Japan with her parents. The only difference is she married a Canadian and got Canadian citizenship. But, many other countries allow dual citizenship, and I love Japan. It is. I grew up with my Japanese grandparents. They helped raise me with my Japanese mother, and my mum is a single mum. I can speak the language. I'm pretty connected culturally, and I understand Japanese sort of social expectations and standards and norms. I get all that, I'm not really mentally, I'm not fully Japanese, but I'm totally respectful of it and appreciate it. And so, like, to be sort of denied like that, it was a bit heartbreaking, because it just showed the harsh reality of being connected to a country that's so homogenous and still has their idea and perspective of what a Japanese person should be and should look like. And I think that currently that sort of sentiment is probably intensifying because there is a more conservative government at the moment, and they are cracking down on even foreign residents in Japan, you know? And so like, and yeah, foreign residents might be a little bit different, but still it's just this it's just like it was kind of hard to accept, and I've accepted it now and I'm totally fine with it, and I'm not trying to paint Japan to be any certain type of way. This is my experience, which I'm sure many people that are like me can relate to. But given the fact that Japan is going through a population crisis, like the population is declining and they need more people and workers and stuff, it's just kind of a shame that they're making it so hard for people to be even Japanese people or half Japanese people to contribute to, you know, their economy or society as well, and also sort of open their minds up to different kinds of Japanese people. And you know, I understand them wanting residents and people to respect their cultural norms and stuff. I think that's totally fine, but I just don't really think that it feels like they're not really helping themselves right now by making it so hard for even people like myself to actually feel a part of society and contribute to a more diverse society. So anyway, that was my experience, and I didn't end up obviously getting a Japanese passport, but I just thought it was really important to speak on this because it can be a reality for a lot of people, and it's a bit of a unique situation, my one, but I just thought it was really important to touch on these things because you know, a lot of people romanticize Japan, and it's an incredible country, but there's also just like these kind of little things that can be a little bit of a wake up call or like a reality check for some of us. So with all that being said, I really hope one day Japan does progress to allow dual citizenship, because I think it can only positively contribute to the nation rather than negatively impact it. So that's my story. This is not meant to be something like to insult Japanese systems or anything like that. It's just me speaking on my experience. You know, I still love Japan. I still love the people there, and I really respect the culture, but it did personally affect me a little bit. So anyway, that's my story. Back to the vlog.
どんなそれバブルティッシュそれ
Not bad. タピオカが小さい。
もちもちではない台湾みたい
違うよ、これはセブンイレブンのだから別に、ほらあんまり
な。まあね。
普通の店みたいのじゃないんだよ。でも not bad。90 calories only だもんこれ。Good for if you're on a diet or a calorie deficit and you want the low calories. It's still sweet though.
気にしないで。
ダメだよ。人間の食べ物。
これちゃんと保冷剤が入ってる。食べないときは残すよ。ピッて。
あ、座った。福崎会長は
そうよね。
めっちゃ狭い。そうです。
ですよね。
もう冬になりかな。冬に。 人の写真を。
どういう意味？
ぜひ近くで見ていってね。
何が入ってる？